Okay, so we're looking at blue-green double feature. So a little bit about the decks in the different separate formats. So in Midnight Hunt, blue-green was actually a pretty strong deck. It's because sometimes be at the upper end of that tier 2, depending on what you could see for the flashback cards and just some of the strength in the uncommons and some of the good commons like the Citric Farmer, as well as the Organ Hoarder. But it had a pretty reasonable mix of spells as well as creatures. In Vow, blue green, typically the stronger versions had upwards of 18, 19, 20 creatures and just a few spells. And some of the creatures that you played took advantage of having multiple creatures like in the graveyard. So there's a little bit of tension there, but we'll see if we can come up with a deck template that maybe makes sense, that could be draftable and could be playable and what we anticipate the metagame to look like. So we'll separate by creatures and spells. Got a lot of cuts to make, so we'll see. We're unlikely to have enough spells for Delver to reliably flip in the early turns. Definitely looking to have creatures with Disturb if possible, either for general self-mill properties that'll exist on some of the cards like Sprout, a Citric Farmer, Organ Hoarder, and maybe some other select cards. And then being able to give something flying, ideally something that's a bigger creature, whether it's a upper end drop, like a Brambleworm or a Millipede, something like that. Lynchbearer makes a ton of sense. We'll keep our zombie for now because it can get cards in the graveyard that have Disturber flashback to pseudo draw a card, gain resources that way. Good early blocker. So we'll see. Death Bonnet Sprout's going to be one of our key creatures as well. Ideally, we can get it down early and get the mill going. But even if it comes down late, you probably have enough creatures in your graveyard to where it'll flip and maybe start eating some disturbed creatures or other creatures from your opponent's graveyard. Again, it is an uncommon. We're limited to 10 uncommons. And then we do need to have at least 1/3 of our cards from each one of the sets. Since blue-green was strong but in different ways between the two formats, we'll see how the breakdown comes. We'll probably be close to split between the two, maybe a little more on the mid side, just because mid cards at the common and uncommon tend to be a little stronger. Probably not going to end up with a strong wolf. We're not going to have enough wolf synergies, and we have some other ways to stall and buy time. Contortionist Troop is great. It likely ends up in the deck, but it maybe doesn't fit into the synergies quite as well. We'll see. Bait Hook Angler's strong. Covetous Castaway might be able to self-mill it, but we don't really have great exploit. Just a few blue creatures from Vow. So it probably ends up not making the cut, especially being an uncommon. Same with Mischievous Catgeist. I don't think we're going to get enough from Sell-Off and Tumor, even though we may be able to discard some creatures. A lot of our cards we would want to discard would have flashback, so we're not going to be able to use this ability. Sifters oftentimes make sense. We'll have to see how many spirits we have. It may just be an okay card in this deck. Scalp Wranglers, probably the top blue uncommon. Regardless of deck, it may not be as strong in this one because we're not going to probably have great ways to use it, but there may be some ways like a Vile Spawn Spider, get a lot of insects, tap down your opponent's entire board and swing out, so we'll hold it for now. Maybe a benefit for Soul Cipher board, but it's probably going to be a little too slow in this format, but we'll see. Storm Treasure Drake's fine, good flyer, 1/2. Probably still die to Spirit Tokens, or many of the disturbed creatures from white. I don't think we're going to have ways to really target it too much with spells. We have a few cards, but for the most part, it's probably not going to be something we prioritize. We want a reasonable curve, but we want to try and avoid clunkers just for curve purposes if we can in the deck, because we can stay alive. We have some cards that can block or trade to get up to higher end. So probably don't want the Disciple. Probably would like a Harvestside Sentry. We can probably get Coven with enough frequency early enough. I mean, it's got 3. We might have a 1 with like a Lantern Bearer, Thar Zombie, or Despondent Sprout. And we can find a 2 maybe with the Mana Dork or like a Farmer, for example. So we'll keep that for now. Outland Liberator, probably not strong enough at uncommon to think we're going to see it, and then it's going to fit what we're doing for it. We don't necessarily want to start Day Night because we don't have too many ways to take advantage of it in the deck. And we're probably not going to have enough wolves, but we'll wait to cut back some buff. Cut the Pestilent Wolf, cut the Sporeback Wolf, cut the Timberland Guide. Probably want to keep the Taxidermist. We're going to love ramp. It can help us get from 2 up to some of our strong 4s, or maybe get up to some of our good 5s earlier. And we plan on having creatures in the graveyard, so late in the game, this is a 2-mana 4/4 a lot of the time, which we'll play for sure. Probably not much on the Toxic Scorpion. Okay, so gold card wise, these are some of the stronger cards in these colors. So, Rootcore Creeper, we hope to get some flashback cards, so being able to play potentially, a Rise of the Ants 4 times would just be great. Have to keep in mind, we're not going to see as many of the flashback cards just because we're limited on the number of mid cards we're going to see. But it's still going to be real useful. Gives you the ramp, and maybe you can proc its last ability. Same with Vilespawn Spider, in terms of having mill being a focus potentially of the deck. This is something to keep in mind. If we can get 1 or maybe more than 1 Vilespawn Spider, we have to be concerned not attacking because this deck will have some ability to play a tempo game, but it's probably not going to be as strong as some of the other colors just because you're only going to have so much bounce or removal in these colors, and your removal tends to be easier to blow out because they're fight or bite spells. We still want to play these for sure. Binding Geist, not great. It still may be a card that ends up in the deck just because curve purposes. You can play it for Disturb to maybe buy more time, but ideally we wouldn't have it in the deck. I don't think we're going to have enough exploit to really take advantage of Biolumag, and we don't really have great ways to sacrifice otherwise, or killing our opponent making a sacrifice. So A-Bomb's great, Intruder's great, Archivist is great, especially with the Disturb. I don't think we're going to lean into the exploit as much in this color player. We're not going to be able to play enough of a tempo game to probably have Wanderlight Spirit in there since it can't block non-flyers. If we're going to play one of these 2, would much rather have a Bird Admirer. Probably going to be easier to find a Sharpshooter, but it's probably not going to train maybe more than once. Probably going to sit back on defense a lot, and it's just not doing enough in the deck. We'll see about Bounding Wolf. Dawnhart Mentor is a way that we can actually win games. We can use the ability to get a flyer pumped up or get a big or Graham creature through with the trample. So we'd love to get Dawnhart Mentor if we can. Farmer's great. We'll take as many of these as we can get. It basically draws you a card the majority of the time with getting a land, and it might pseudo draw you more than 1 card if you get something that has Disturb or something that has Flashback into the graveyard. Stone Tamer is another way to try and break through it. It doesn't fit quite as well with starting the Day Night in a deck that doesn't take advantage of it. So we'll see if it makes the cut, but it's still an overall strong card. Probably not going to play the Oakshade Stalker. Spore Crawler was good in the Val Blue-Greens, so we'll see if it's good in this one, and then we like the ramp, especially in any color. Gale Drifter's not great. Might have a role for Gutter Skulker. as a way to break through, since probably not going to have a critical mass of flyers and more bigger bigger creatures on the ground. You can just get bricked by, just board stalls that can occur in these colors. Organ Hoarder's fantastic. Probably not going to lean into the exploit. We're not going to have enough spells to take advantage of Whispering Wizard. There's a role for Cool Witness. It's tough to play a 4-drop that doesn't do something when it comes down. At least it was that way in Midnight Hunt. It wasn't quite that way in Val. So we'll see. It might make it through the first cuts. Brood Reaver's just not strong enough. Neither is the Rejuvenator, if you can help it. It's nice to gain life, but we'll probably have incidental life gain in other places. Okay. Dormant Grow's a way to make our creatures be able to push through. Mariner was good in Val. Might not be great. It's probably going to be a 4-mana 4/4 in double feature, which, I don't know, isn't great. Not going to play a Royal Recruit if we can help it. So it was nice to maybe be able to destroy a Blood in Val with the Sawblade Slinger. Probably not going to see that as frequently in double feature, and there's not oftentimes great artifacts you can kill on your opponent having in Midnight Hunt. Being able to fight a Decay token or fight a zombie can be real useful, especially because we're likely to see more of that with blue-black in double feature. So we'll see about the Sawblade Slinger. Amalgam can push through. It's just so much to invest in. Same with the Spirit. The Iverstill's just good regardless. We might have some creatures with Disturb that we can exploit. We'll see. Probably have other ways that we can block creatures. This does have flying, so we can maybe not lose to all the disturbed flying creatures. We'll see about the Orb Scalp. Not a huge fan of Candlelit Hybrid, though I did play it more, and its numbers did come up a little bit more at the end of Midnight Hunt. It's because it has Trample, likely. Probably not going to make the cut. I don't think we're going to play Cloak Cadet. It wasn't good in Val. It's unlikely to be good in double feature. Infestation Expert can play for us. Millipede is something we're looking to get a payoff for if we can get enough creatures. We'll see how the deck looks. Tireless Hauler wasn't great. And Burly Breaker, it's looks like it should be good. Format might be slow enough to play it. We'll see. I think we have to think about Screaming Swarm as a way to self-mill us or just mill out the opponent. We're probably not going to be able to Phantom Carriage. I mean, it's reasonable, but I don't think we're going to be able to get there. Probably not going to have enough wolves to take advantage of the Outcast. We'll like a Brambleworm, and I think we'll like a Flourishing Hunter as well. Okay. I don't know. Let's go to the spells. Okay. So we know we're going to need some degree of interaction. Either as ways to try and play a tempo game, which may be tougher in these colors unless we get 1 or 2 Witherthorn Blessings. But keeping that in mind, we may still have some bounce. And then some, combat tricks. But likely more on the fight and bite spells if we can. With all that being said, probably no Retrieval. Consider could be good, but probably no Consider. I don't think we're going to be able to spend an uncommon on Fading Hope. And I don't think Otherworldly Gaze is going to play well enough with us having fewer looks at Flashback and Disturb with Vow being added in. So Turn the Earth is interesting because we likely are going to be self-milling ourselves enough to where we want to put cards back in the library. So we probably would benefit from some way to do that, whether it's a Turn the Earth or a Devious Cover-Up or a Witness the Future. It might just depend on how much self-mill you have in the deck. It's whether you would play any of those, and then if you do, it's just probably whichever one comes to you. So I'm not convinced that we need to spend a an uncommon on Turn the Earth. And I think Syncopate could potentially have a role, but if we're maybe trying to minimize our spells to just those that are most essential, I'm not sure if it's going to end up making sense. And the same with Massive Might, it's just asking to get blown out with all the very expensive interaction from Midnight Hunt. Plus, there's good interaction in Bow as well. Okay. Probably don't get much benefit from Cradle other than just maybe blocking a removal spell. Again, Self-Mill's fine, but Fear of Death, it's just asking for a creature to be exploited or, just whatever. Again, Geist Wave, not great. Lunar Rejection, obviously it's a great card. It's tough to spend an uncommon on it, but maybe we keep it in for now. Startles, couldn't get on in any blue deck. This is another one where it probably plays alright. Probably not as good as like it would in a blue-red or a blue-black. We're probably not looking to be a Bramble Armor deck. And then we can get Coven, but it's probably not going to happen on turn 3 or 4 all the time. So maybe we play Duel for Dominance because we might have some bigger creatures, but ideally we wouldn't. We'll see. Probably no Might of the Old Ways. So Mulch is interesting because I think we would like to have this in the deck. And I think we keep it for now. We should have to be careful of too much self-milling. I don't think we're playing Plummet main deck. Same with Return to Nature. I don't think tapping's going to do enough since if we were super creature dense, then maybe. So let's maybe keep it for now and see how the deck turns out. But I think there's going to be too much flashback for us to feel comfortable playing this and just not hitting with it. Which is what probably not. Witherform Blessing, I'd love to have as many of these as we can get. Even if we're not playing a tempo-y blue-green, it still can buy some time, pop up a creature, has flashback. Being sorcery is not fantastic. Whereas like Chill from the Grave is an instant and draws you a card, which makes it somewhat similar to Blessing, but in terms of like the card advantage and the tapping, but still probably won't Witherform if we can get it. We'll have to see how likely we are to keep up mana and how bomb heavy the format's going to be. We're likely going to see bombs because there's 2 rares, 4 uncommons in each of the packs, so we might want a counterspell or 2. Flip Switch is probably our best one, even if Decay doesn't want to play as well. But we'll see. We might end up having a devious cover up to shuffle stuff back into our deck. Let's see. Probably not going to be able to proc Gatlight Snare for costing 1 or 2. So it's probably not the place here. Probably not going to have enough Disturber Flashback to make Roost work. Probably going to have better counter spells. So Thirst is tricky because we're going to have card draw that gets stuff into our graveyard at common that we can draft later, like a Scattered Thoughts. Or maybe we just get some self-mill with like the Organ Hoarder, Center Farmer, and get card advantage that way. So I think Thirst is good, but I don't necessarily think that we have to draft Towel to make this deck tick. And then it's tough to spend 3 mana and not affect the board based on everything that was happening in Midnight Hunt, where those cards just not playing well. We'll maybe keep Witness the Future in for now, because we are looking to shuffle some stuff back into our deck. Again, if we've already played our flashback cards, we can't shuffle those back in, but we may have cards we milled incidentally, or good creatures we want to get back in, and good removal. Clear Shot was super solid in Midnight Hunt. Ideally, we can land one of them and it goes in the deck. I don't think we'll be able to benefit from Falling Infestation. That's just probably too much mill for not enough payoff. Probably can't main deck a Crushing Canopy most of the time. I think in effect, getting them from the graveyard is useful, but Dryad's Arrival is probably not where we want to go. We want to try and have cards that are working on multiple planes, and just getting a card back, probably not it. Howl of Hunt's cute, but probably not going to have enough wolves to make it happen. Same with Nature's Embrace. Patch of the Festival. If we're splashing, maybe, but I'm not sure if this will be a format that's going to be heavy splashing or not. It was tough and oftentimes not right to splash in Midnight Hunt, and then it was tough, but sometimes all right in some color pairs to splash in Vow, but probably not looking to do that in this color pair. And then no retrieve. Ripsaw's interesting because it's so clunky, but you can give trample to make it really tough for opponents to block favorably, especially if you have like bounce or fight or bite spells. But it's overall not a card that you want to play if you have better ways to win. So we'll leave it for now, but it probably doesn't make the cut. See, and then Wolf Strike probably has a role. Revenge is great if you can get these. If they're underdrafted like they were, Midnight Hunt, we'll take as many as we can get. It's not going to play as well as it would, again, like a blue-black or blue-red, but I think it's still just great tempo advantage. We'll see about Scatter Thoughts. It might be a way to get flashback to start creatures in the graveyard. It's just tough to spend 4 mana with all the Midnight Hunt cards running around. I think we do want a Devious Cover-Up. I think this is a way to reduce the likelihood that we mill, get good cards back in to kind of finish the opponent off. I don't think we're looking at Cartographer Survey. Not going to have enough humans for Lay to Rest. Shadow Besiding played really well. Probably second best common behind a Citric Farmer in green, especially for blue-green. We can probably keep that in there for now. And then I don't think we're going to defend the Celestis. And then Rise Lance is just fantastic. Okay. First go through, down from 100 plus to someone. Still need 31 more cuts though. And we are looking okay. A lot more creatures than spells. Okay. We're not probably ready to do an uncommon count or cards in each set count. We're too far away from that. But let's go back through again. Try and figure out what are we doing. So I think we're still leaning in to Flashback. And I think we're still trying to lean into Disturb. There's just not going to be as many Disturb creatures with only having blue available. Okay, we'll come back on Larder Zombie and Contortionist Root, but I think we want the Bear and the Bonnet. I'm not convinced we're going to have enough spirits to play the Sifters. I want to play a Soul Cipher board. I think it gets benefit in this deck with the self-mill. And you can draw cards late game to try and come back, but I think it's going to be tough to really take advantage of it because we may say, oh gosh, I'd love to, draw 2 cards, in the turn, a few times. Then you might say, my deck only has, 10 cards, 8 cards, 12 cards. When I'm really trying to turn this around, and I may not be able to spend my mana on drawing cards, so I need to be affecting the board, finding ways to push through the last bits of damage. So I'm not sure we can count on Soul Cipher board really doing it for us in the deck. Okay. Wolf count. Got a few. I don't know if Pup's gonna do it in this card pair for us. I think we like the Taxi, we like our gold cards. Are we going to have enough to avoid playing Bird Admirer? I just hate the idea of not having some way to affect the opponents when the games are going to go longer. Probably not going to have enough of a tempo start with this deck to consistently, get the turn 6, 7, 8 kills from tempo advantage. And I can just see us dying to disturb creatures, spirit tokens, something like that. So maybe. Probably don't need Building Wolf and something else with reach though. Like the Mentor a lot still. The Farmer, I think the Tamer's good, but we're probably going to be pressed for uncommons. And then we'll see about Sport Caller, and I think Weaver makes a ton of sense as well. So we're going to have things to do with our mana. We're going to have Disturb, we're going to have Flashback, we're going to have some upper end stuff. I'm not sure we're going to land on the Gutter Skulker. I think that's cute, but I don't know. If you don't have a way to win, you might need it, but hopefully we can have some different ways to win. Not sure about the Cruel Witness. I think it just doesn't do enough for us when we add the Midnight Hunt cards in. Okay. I don't know about the Mariner. It might make it. Sawblade, for an uncommon, it's tough to feel comfortable you're really going to be able to proc the zombie attack or the artifact attack. And then it's just a 4/3 that doesn't have any more upside. Okay. I think Dire Staub's great. It just doesn't have as much synergy in this deck. We'll keep it for now. Going to get rid of the Skyward Scop, though. I think Infestation Expert probably going to have more play than Burly Breaker. Just because you can get the insect that, you know, right when it comes into play. It gets some, even if it's just a 1/1, gets some benefit. Deadites, I think we're not going to be able to get tons of advantage. This will be annoying on the other side if we haven't closed it out, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And then I think we still need ways to win, so we'll keep the Screaming Swarm for now. Okay. Let's see what we have interaction-wise here. I think we lose the Duel for Dominance. I still don't think we're going to have enough creatures to play the tapping. It's cute, but I don't think Ripsaw is going to make this deck a lot of the time. I don't know if we're going to be able to take a turn off to play Scattered Thoughts. If we can, if a Witherthorn Blessing is open, we're probably fairly likely to see it. I mean, it can be splashed, you know, in blue-white and, you know, green-red, decks like that. But, that being said, I think we probably want that over a Chill. Okay. 17 more to go. It's going to uncommon check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Gosh, well, we got to get rid of 10 more of these, and that'll bring us down to 47. So let's do an uncommon check. Done. Let's do uncommon cuts now. Gosh, okay, got to get 10 of these. All right. Probably Burly Breaker, probably Diver Scob. 1, 2. Ugh. Jeez. 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's tough. I need 5 more. Okay, I like Sprout. It fits our game plan. It's strong on its own and has synergy. Scarbringer might be a way for us to actually break through. Ugh. Okay. We want creatures or spells that are unique enough and strong enough that we get the benefit that we couldn't otherwise get. It's, yeah. 6. Nebelgast is fantastic. It's just tough to have Nebelgast and Archivist and feel like you're going to get both for one, and then they play similarly enough. I don't know. How are we finishing this? Is it going to be Swarm? Not ready to cut that yet. Okay. Alright, let's get rid of some commons. We'll come back and do cuts on uncommons. We'll get a little better focus on where the deck's going to be. Okay. I think we'll likely have enough creatures with Larder. It just may be tough with self-mill as well to have a Larder zombie. We'll see. Probably not Sentry. Probably not going to be able to be quite aggro enough for that. This is a luxury we just may not be able to count on. Same with the Spore Crawler. Probably even same with the Hook Hand. Okay, so what do we have self-mill-wise right now? Sorta Starter Zombie, Vile Spawn Spider, Eccentric Farmer, Organ Hoarder, Millipede, and then Screaming Swarm, potentially, if we want to mill ourselves. And then Mulch as well. If we're not splashing it, it may be tough to play the Mulch. Okay, do we have enough for Startle? Probably. Okay, we're looking to be lower spells again. Okay, which probably makes sense. That's how it played effectively in Val. And if we can add in some of these stronger creatures and more utility creatures from Val, that'll probably play alright when you add in the Midnight Hunt for double feature. Startle may not do enough. Like, it's similar enough to well, strike in terms of you're trying to use it in combat oftentimes, but you do get the draw with it. Okay. So we're on uncommon check now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we gotta get rid of 4 more uncommons and then 1 common. Okay. Yikes, it's tough. Clear Shot's fantastic. It's better than Normal Strike, but... And you'll take it if you have it. Don't get me wrong. This is replaceable, even if it is strong. 2. Rams is too strong. I think I still want the Screaming Swarm as a way to not deck. 1, you can keep putting it back on top of your deck. If they don't kill it. And then 2, maybe deck the opponent. So I think we're going to need some sort of inevitability with that. Too. Looking, we've got 3 flashbacks, our creeper is just too strong one too, even if we don't land any flashbacks, but no, we do have that ability in our back pocket. I think that's helpful. Okay. Can we get Coven easily enough? Got 3s, we've got 2s. We've got some 1s, but not as many 1s. We've got some 4s. Ugh. This just stabilizes so well, though. So then, do you want a Dawnheart Mentor? Do you want a Dormant Grove? Probably have enough creatures to where we'll be able to put stuff on this. It's tougher to kill a Dormant Grove. I don't know if this is the right call, but one of those. Got one more uncommon, one more common. Okay. What if I break down? Oh, 17 creatures? I don't know, it might have to be Dormant Grove then. And then one more common. But we have the Ants, we have the Shadow Beast. Okay. I guess maybe it's... I don't really like the idea of getting rid of our zombie, but got enough early game to get us there. But it's just such a house when you get into board stalls, which can and will happen with this deck. I don't think we get rid of it. We'll get rid of a Wolf Strike. Okay. So here's how blue-green could look. Leaning into the self-mill. Long game, either making a ton of spiders, milling out an opponent, giving flying to something that can go over. Actually, no, I think we're gonna have to put that in over the Archivist. It gives us too much inevitability as the game goes long. So there's a thought for blue-green. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's reasonable. Could be drafted. Could have some play. So let me know what you think.